The secret weapon of attraction, why dark personalities are likable, Machiavellian triad. We are accustomed to thinking that people who evoke genuine sympathy, deep respect, and to whom we are drawn always possess a set of positive qualities. In our perception, the ideal leader, a reliable friend, or an attractive partner is someone kind, empathetic, honest, responsive, capable of compassion and self-sacrifice. These are the qualities we value in interpersonal relationships. These are what we seek in others, and undoubtedly, these form the basis of healthy and strong connections. We believe that the more light and positivity a person radiates, the more they attract others. And this is certainly true. In the ideal world we envision, good always triumphs, and true attractiveness lies in the purity of thought and nobility of soul. But what if, in our complex, imperfect world, we sometimes encounter a surprising paradox? What if some individuals, whom we might call dark, those who seem excessively self-focused, calculating, or even somewhat unfeeling, nevertheless attract attention, evoke admiration, and seemingly achieve success with ease, gaining influence that doesn't align with their inner world? This could be a charismatic but ruthless executive at a major Wall Street corporation who always gets their way regardless of the feelings and fates of others, yet their subordinates and partners admire their strength and effectiveness. Or a charming but deeply narcissistic acquaintance from Hollywood who is always the center of attention at any party, surrounded by many people ready to listen and support them, even though deep down they only think of themselves. It could even be a famous actor known for their difficult personality, egocentricity, and scandalous behavior, yet their popularity only grows and fans adore their individuality and independence. This inexplicable attraction to those who, ideally, should evoke repulsion makes us wonder, what is their secret? Why do these seemingly negative traits create an illusion of attractiveness or strength? And how can our perception be deceived by superficial manifestations behind which lies something much less pleasant? We will discuss that this is not about justifying or encouraging such behavior. Our goal is not to learn to be dark and manipulative. Our goal is to understand why it sometimes works, how these traits can create an outward shine, and most importantly, how not to fall for its deceptive charm, protecting ourselves from potential harm. Let's delve into this paradox, using examples from Western culture where the cult of success and individualism sometimes gives dark traits an unexpected appeal. Example 1. The ruthless businessman or leader. Recall numerous images from American films or real-life success stories where an entrepreneur or leader is portrayed as someone who steps over others to achieve their goal. They might be ruthless in negotiations, fire people without hesitation, make decisions that benefit them but leave a trail of shattered lives behind. Yet they are often called strong, effective, go-getters, brilliant strategists. People might admire their ability to get their way, their knack for winning. This happens because in a highly competitive environment, especially in business, cold calculation and emotional detachment can be mistakenly perceived as rationality, pragmatism, and steadfastness. Such people seem capable of making difficult decisions that others dare not, and this creates an illusion of strength and effectiveness. Their lack of empathy might be perceived as objectivity and their desire for power as ambition. It's a superficial glow of power that attracts those who seek protection or want to be part of a winning team. Example 2. The charming narcissist. We have all met such people. They are incredibly charming at first glance. Narcissists know how to make a stunning first impression. They are charismatic, outgoing, can talk beautifully about themselves, radiating confidence and success. They can be the life of the party, skillfully attracting attention and endearing themselves to people. Imagine a popular social media influencer who exudes self-admiration and absolute confidence in their righteousness. Their posts and videos might be filled with stories of their perfect life, incredible achievements, and flawless appearance. Thousands, sometimes millions, of followers admire them, wish to be like them, consider them ideal. However, behind this outward brilliance often lies deep egocentricity, a lack of true empathy, a need for constant admiration, and a tendency to use others to achieve their goals. Narcissists can be very attractive at the beginning of a relationship because they know how to mirror the interlocutor, say what they want to hear, and create the illusion of a deep connection. But over time, their self-absorption and indifference to the feelings of others become obvious. Nevertheless, their ability to self-present and maintain an image of a successful and happy person continues to attract, because many people want to associate themselves with success and beauty, even if superficial. Example 3. The bad boy/girl with an edge. In cinema and literature, the archetype of the bad boy or bad girl often appears who, despite their overtly negative traits, impulsivity, disregard for rules, lack of empathy, tendency to take risks, are incredibly attractive. They can be cold, daring, cynical, yet they exude a certain inexplicable charisma and strength. In real life, this could be a person who always breaks rules, isn't afraid to take risks, remains calm under pressure, and shows no visible fear. They might speak sharply, directly, without considering others' feelings, yet they seem honest or authentic. People might admire their courage and decisiveness, especially in a competitive environment where quick and uncompromising decisions are needed. For example, a fearless entrepreneur who takes huge risks, seems unfazed by setbacks, and achieves success might evoke admiration even if their methods are questionable and they leave a trail of offended and exploited people. Their boldness, lack of visible doubt, and emotional detachment can be mistakenly interpreted as inner strength rather than a lack of empathy. This is particularly noticeable in cultures where the image of a strong lone wolf who succeeds at all costs is cultivated. What unites these dark traits? All these examples show that so-called dark traits, strategic thinking and emotional detachment, Machiavellianism, high self-esteem and grandiosity, narcissism, boldness, fearlessness, and lack of empathy, elements of psychopathy, can create a superficial image of strength, success, and confidence. Many people instinctively gravitate towards this image. They seek protection, guidance, or simply an attractive role model within it, especially in the complex and uncertain conditions of the modern world. It is important to understand that this is an illusion of attractiveness. These traits create only an outward appearance of strength and success, but at their core, they lack true depth and genuine connection with other people. The purpose of our article is not to teach you to be like this, but to provide tools for understanding how these traits work at a subconscious level and how not to fall for their deceptive hook, which in the long run can lead to disappointment and pain. In the next part, we will delve deeper into the psychological mechanisms that make us perceive these traits as attractive and examine why this perception can be deceptive. In the first part, we explored the paradox of why some individuals with traits we typically consider negative, egocentrism, calculating nature, emotional detachment, can nevertheless appear attractive and successful. We discussed that this is not a justification for such behavior, but rather an attempt to understand why it sometimes works. Now we will delve into the psychological mechanisms that make these dark traits so deceptively appealing. This is not manipulation, not a call to develop these traits, but an understanding of how our own psychological predispositions can interpret certain behavioral patterns, creating an illusion of strength and attractiveness. Firstly, strategic thinking and emotional detachment, what is sometimes called Machiavellianism, can be perceived as competence, rationality, and incredible effectiveness. Machiavellianism as a psychological trait is characterized by cynicism, a tendency to deceive, pragmatism, and cold calculation in interpersonal relationships. People with such traits tend to view others as tools to achieve their goals. This might seem off-putting, but in certain contexts, it evokes paradoxical admiration. A person who doesn't succumb to emotions is capable of coldly analyzing a situation, clearly planning their steps, and making decisions without regard for the feelings of others can appear strong, decisive, and unwavering. In a world where many of us hesitate, succumb to doubts, and fear making difficult decisions, such a person stands out with their apparent inflexibility. Recall a politician who makes tough, unpopular decisions, cuts budgets, fires people, but is perceived by voters as an effective and strong leader because they don't waver and show no weakness. For example, a politician who ruthlessly cuts social programs but clearly and logically explains their position might be perceived as a strong leader capable of tough decisions, despite public discontent. Their ability to detach from the emotional component and focus solely on results or efficiency can be interpreted as a higher form of competence, especially if their actions lead to short-term, visible successes. People yearning for stability and strong leadership might see such a person as a savior, even if their methods are inhumane. Their ability to detach from personal feelings and focus on strategy creates an impression of unmatched professionalism. Secondly, high self-esteem and grandiosity, traits characteristic of narcissists, can be mistakenly taken for genuine self-confidence, charisma, and a vibrant individuality. Narcissism is a personality trait characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, as well as a lack of empathy and a sense of entitlement. At first glance, narcissists are incredibly appealing. They know how to make a stunning first impression. They are captivating, charming, can talk beautifully about themselves and their achievements, often exaggerated, radiating confidence and an aura of success. They can be the life of the party, skillfully attracting attention and endearing themselves to people because they know how to say what others want to hear and how to create the illusion of a deep connection. Imagine a popular social media influencer who exudes self-admiration and absolute confidence in their righteousness. Their photos and videos might be filled with stories of their perfect life, incredible achievements, flawless appearance, and successes that seem unattainable for ordinary people. Thousands and sometimes millions of followers admire them, wish to be like them, consider them ideal or a role model. This grandiosity that the narcissist displays attracts because many people want to associate themselves with success, beauty, and confidence. We tend to believe that if a person is so confident, they must have a reason for it. Their unwavering confidence and willingness to be the center of attention are perceived as charisma, not as a pathological need for attention. They can seem strong and independent because they don't seek others' approval outwardly, but rather exalt themselves. Thirdly, boldness, fearlessness, and lack of empathy, elements of psychopathy, can be perceived as courage, decisiveness, and the ability to act in the most challenging conditions. Psychopathy, in its clinical understanding, includes a lack of empathy, superficial charm, impulsivity, irresponsibility, and antisocial behavior. But at first glance, some of these traits can seem appealing. A person who is not afraid to take risks, remains composed under pressure, shows no visible fear, and is capable of making quick, uncompromising decisions can seem incredibly strong, resilient, and effective. This is particularly appealing in a highly competitive environment, be it business, politics, or sports, where quick and uncompromising decisions are needed. For example, a fearless entrepreneur who takes huge risks, seems unfazed by setbacks, ignores moral principles for profit, and achieves success might evoke admiration. They are called a visionary, a genius, a revolutionary, even if their methods are questionable and they leave a trail of hurt, exploited, and ruined people behind them. Their boldness, lack of visible doubt, and emotional detachment can be mistakenly interpreted as inner strength, leadership ability, and foresight rather than a lack of empathy or moral compass. They appear unflappable in chaos, and this unflappability is mistakenly perceived as a higher form of control and courage. This is especially noticeable in cultures where the image of a strong lone wolf who succeeds at all costs, disregarding rules or moral norms, is cultivated. What unites these dark traits, and why are they deceptive? All these qualities, strategic thinking and emotional detachment, Machiavellianism. High self-esteem and grandiosity, narcissism, boldness, fearlessness, and lack of empathy, elements of psychopathy, can create a superficial but very appealing image of strength, success, confidence, and control. Many people instinctively gravitate towards this image, especially in the modern world, where uncertainty and competition prevail. They seek protection, guidance, clarity, or simply an attractive role model in such a person, believing that these qualities will lead them to success. It is important to understand that this is an illusion of attractiveness. These traits create only an outward appearance of strength and success, but at their core, they lack true depth, genuine connection with other people, and moral stability. The appeal of such individuals is often superficial and short-lived. They can be very effective in achieving short-term goals quickly, but their methods, lack of empathy, and exclusive self-orientation inevitably lead to broken relationships, instability, loneliness, and a lack of genuine happiness. People who fall under their influence often end up disappointed and deceived. The purpose of our article is not to teach you to be like this, but to provide tools for understanding how these traits work at a subconscious level and how not to fall for their deceptive hook, which in the long run can lead to disappointment and pain. Understanding the mechanisms behind this phenomenon is key to protecting yourself and building truly healthy and lasting relationships. We have come a long way in our exploration of the paradoxical appeal of so-called dark personality traits. In the first part, we realized that contrary to our expectations, qualities like egocentrism, calculating nature, and emotional detachment can evoke admiration and attract attention. In the second part, we delved into the psychological mechanisms explaining this deceptive attractiveness, how Machiavellianism can be perceived as competence, narcissism as charisma, and elements of psychopathy as boldness and decisiveness. Now it's time to summarize and understand what this knowledge means for us and how it can help us build a healthier and more conscious life. In conclusion, we emphasize that understanding these mechanisms is not an invitation to develop dark traits within oneself. On the contrary, it is a tool for analysis, understanding, and, most importantly, protection from those who might use these traits for manipulation. Our goal is not to imitate their behavior, but to clearly see their tactics and be able to resist them. We have found that the attractiveness of such individuals is often superficial and short-lived. Despite their initial brilliance, the powerful first impression they make, in the long run, these traits inevitably lead to instability, broken relationships, and a lack of genuine connection. Why? Because they lack the key elements of healthy interaction, empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, sincerity, honesty in words and intentions, and genuine care for others. Imagine a charismatic but narcissistic leader. Initially, they might inspire the team with grandiose promises and radiate incredible confidence. But over time, colleagues will begin to notice that they make decisions solely in their own interest, ignore others' opinions, do not admit mistakes, and constantly seek admiration. Their grandiosity turns into arrogance, their confidence into self-admiration. Work relationships are destroyed due to a lack of trust and empathy, leaving a trail of disappointed and exploited people behind them. Their attractiveness turned out to be merely a mirage. Similarly, a cold-blooded negotiator whose emotional detachment seems like a sign of strength may, in the long run, find that no one wants to deal with them. People may admire their toughness but will not trust them and will avoid long-term cooperation. Their effectiveness turns into isolation. True, sustainable influence and respect come not from imitating dark traits, but from cultivating genuine positive qualities. These are: 1. Empathy and compassion, the ability to understand the feelings of others, to put yourself in their shoes. This does not make you weak, it makes you a person to whom others turn for support and advice. People trust those who can share their experiences. 2. Integrity and honesty, being consistent in your words and actions, keeping your word, being ethical. This is the foundation upon which long-term trust is built. 3. True self-confidence based on competence. Unlike the grandiosity of a narcissist, genuine confidence stems from real knowledge, skills, and experience, as well as from accepting one's strengths and weaknesses. It is not a need for constant admiration, but a calm awareness of one's worth. 4. Care for others, willingness to help, support, invest in relationships without expecting immediate gain. This creates strong bonds based on reciprocity and respect. Our secret strength lies not in being dark, but in understanding why dark traits can be superficially attractive. This knowledge is our shield. It helps us recognize manipulators. Now that you know what the superficial manifestations of dark traits look and act like, it will be much easier for you to identify when someone is trying to use them to get what they want from you. You will be able to see beyond external charm or apparent strength to the true, often selfish motives. Protect yourself from their influence, knowing what hooks manipulators use, your need for a strong leader, your desire to be part of a successful project, your yearning for confidence. You will be able to consciously resist this pressure. You will not blindly follow someone who only seems strong, but will seek true competence and reliability. Build genuine, deep connections. Understanding that superficial attractiveness does not equal long-term value will allow you to focus on building relationships based on mutual respect, empathy, and sincerity. You will value people not for their outward shine, but for their inner qualities, and you yourself will become such a person. Consider how you can cultivate these genuine qualities within yourself. This is a process that requires self-reflection, self-improvement, and constant practice. Be empathetic to others, show honesty even in small things, develop your skills so that your confidence is based on real achievements, and always strive for your actions to benefit not only you but also others. Ultimately, this is a path to gaining inner freedom from external influence and the ability to live in accordance with your own decisions and values. You will stop succumbing to external brilliance and will be able to distinguish true strength from its imitation. You will build relationships that truly enrich you rather than draining you. And you will become a person who not only attracts attention but evokes deep, lasting, and well-deserved respect, because your attractiveness will come from the brightest and strongest aspects of your personality. Ultimately, This is a path to gaining inner freedom from external influence and the ability to live in accordance with your own decisions and values. You will stop succumbing to external brilliance and will be able to distinguish true strength from its imitation. You will build relationships that truly enrich you rather than draining you. And you will become a person who not only attracts attention but evokes deep, lasting, and well-deserved respect because your attractiveness will come from the brightest and strongest aspects of your personality.